In 1945, Las Vegas was a railroad stop in the middle of nowhere. Population 8,000 people, one paved road, a handful of casinos that looked like truck stops. Sand in every direction as far as you could see. Then Bugsy Siegel showed up with $6 million and a vision. And within 20 years, the Nevada desert became the most profitable criminal enterprise in American history. Before we go further, if you're new here, subscribe right now. This channel is where organized crime history gets told the way it actually happened. Hit the bell. You won't want to miss what's coming. This is the story of how the mob didn't just move into Las Vegas. They built it, from the foundation up, and then lost it in a way nobody saw coming. The year is 1946. America is coming down from the high of winning a war. Men are home, money is moving, and the country wants to forget everything it just went through. Gambling is illegal in almost every state. But Nevada, broke, desperate, miles from anything, had legalized it back in 1931 just to survive the Depression. For 15 years, nobody cared. Then the mob looked at that legal loophole sitting in the desert and saw something nobody else did. A legitimate front for illegitimate money. A place where cash came in by the truckload and nobody asked questions about where it went. Benjamin Siegel, Bugsy to everyone except people who wanted to keep their teeth, was the man sent west by Meyer Lansky and the New York families to build the dream. Siegel was not a businessman. He was a killer with taste. He wore silk suits. He dated Hollywood actresses. He ate at fine restaurants and tipped extravagantly. And he believed with absolute religious conviction that the desert could become a palace. The Flamingo Hotel cost $6 million to build. It went over budget almost immediately. Construction materials were being stolen off the site and resold, sometimes by the same contractors Siegel had hired. By the time it opened in December of 1946, costs had ballooned to over $6 million, possibly as high as $8 million. The mob's money was evaporating, and the opening night was a disaster. Rain in Los Angeles grounded the chartered planes. The celebrities Siegel had promised never showed. The casino lost money its first 2 weeks. 6 months later, Siegel was sitting in his girlfriend's living room in Beverly Hills. Someone put a bullet through the window, and then several more. He was dead before anyone called the police. The Flamingo's new management turned a profit within 3 weeks. What followed was a gold rush in suits. The Chicago outfit sent money and men. The Cleveland syndicate moved in. The Kansas City family, the Milwaukee family, Meyer Lansky's financial network. Everyone wanted a piece. Through the 1950s, casino after casino rose from the sand. The Desert Inn, the Sands, the Riviera, the Stardust. Each one was nominally owned by legitimate businessmen. Each one was actually controlled by organized crime families, operating through a system that would become legendary in both criminal and financial history. The skim. Here is how it worked. Before the casino's official count, before the money was logged, taxed, or reported, a portion disappeared. Counting rooms had hidden compartments. Trusted men pulled cash before it hit the books. The numbers were adjusted. On paper, the casino made a modest, taxable profit. In reality, tens of millions of dollars moved annually through couriers to mob bosses in Chicago, Cleveland, Kansas City, and New York. The Stardust alone was skimming an estimated $400,000 a month at its peak. That money funded criminal operations across the entire country. Las Vegas wasn't just a casino. It was the mob's central bank. The man who held it all together, quietly, almost invisibly, was Meyer Lansky. He never owned a casino. His name appeared on nothing, but his financial architecture ran underneath everything, like wiring behind a wall. Lansky understood before anyone else that the real power wasn't in violence. It was in paperwork, in fronts, in nominees, in layered corporate structures that made criminal money look like legitimate profit. He was the reason the skim worked for as long as it did, and it worked for a long time. Through the 50s and into the 60s, Las Vegas exploded. Frank Sinatra performed at the Sands. The Rat Pack drank there. Celebrities, politicians, and ordinary Americans flooded in. The city's population went from 8,000 in 1945 to over 120,000 by 1960. The mob had built something real out of nothing. A city, an industry, an American institution. Then the walls started moving. In 1963, the Nevada Gaming Control Board began tightening its licensing requirements. In 1967, Howard Hughes arrived, the reclusive billionaire who bought casinos the way other men bought newspapers, with a checkbook and no questions asked. Hughes gave Nevada's government exactly what they had been looking for: a path to legitimacy, a way to say the casinos were now run by eccentric industrialists, not criminal families. The real killing blow came from Washington. The FBI, which under J. Edgar Hoover had famously refused to acknowledge the existence of organized crime, reversed course dramatically after the Appalachian Meeting of 1957 exposed the National Syndicate to public view. Through the 1970s, federal wiretaps burrowed into the mob's Las Vegas operations. Informants talked. The skim, which had been a beautifully invisible operation for 2 decades, started leaving traces that prosecutors could follow all the way to Chicago. In 1983, the FBI indicted the bosses of the Chicago, Kansas City, Milwaukee, and Cleveland families simultaneously, in what became known as the straw man prosecutions. The evidence came directly from Las Vegas casino skimming operations. Nick Savella of Kansas City, Carl Thomas, the casino executive turned government witness, Frank Rosenthal, the real man behind the fictional Sam Rothstein in Martin Scorsese's casino, had his gaming license denied and was eventually car-bombed in a Las Vegas parking lot. He survived. His career didn't. One by one, the mob's men were removed from the counting rooms. Gaming regulators required corporate ownership structures that could be The Nevada Gaming Commission became one of the most rigorous licensing bodies in the world, precisely because it had learned exactly what happened when it wasn't. By the late 1980s, the families that had built Las Vegas from a railroad stop into the entertainment capital of the world had been systematically removed from it. The corporations moved in and finished the job. Steve Wynn opened the Mirage in 1989. MGM Hilton, Marriott. The casinos got bigger. The shows got more elaborate. The money got even larger. But now it was tracked, taxed, audited, and entirely legitimate. Las Vegas had been laundered, not by the mob this time, by the government and corporate America working together to do what the mob had proven was possible: extract almost unlimited money from a patch of desert by giving people exactly what they wanted. Today, Las Vegas generates over $70 billion in economic activity annually. Its airport handles nearly 50 million passengers a year. The Strip is one of the most photographed places on Earth. None of it would exist without Bugsy Siegel's mad vision and the organized crime money that turned that vision into concrete and neon. The mob didn't lose Las Vegas because they were beaten. They lost it because they succeeded. They proved the concept so completely that bigger, more powerful forces decided to take it for themselves, legally. The families who built the city from nothing were eventually crowded out by the very legitimacy their money had created. Bugsy Siegel died in a Beverly Hills living room for a dream most people thought was insane. 40 years later, that dream was worth more than most countries. Some deserts, it turns out, are not empty at all. They're just waiting for someone crazy enough to build on them. Waiting for someone crazy enough to build on them.